The hybrid rendering concept is something that is moving forward in the industry pretty quickly as well, which is a mixture of pre-rendered content and server rendered content, all kind of, and client rendered content all in the same application. Really what it comes down to is what your goals are, what your needs are. So for an application that is dynamic and has needs for core web vitals, and you're very concerned about that initial render experience, server-side rendering is hugely valuable. If you don't have the need for dynamic content on your initial render, then static site generation is and pre-rendered content is probably a good option for you. And if you've got a mixture of all of those things, hybrid rendering is the way to go. But yeah, primarily people are using server-side rendering for trying to get that initial render speed, like the perceived initial render speed, super fast, so that they can improve their core web vitals, so that they can have a better user. Yeah, so that's a big factor for people wanting to do server-side rendering. And along with that comes that desire to have a faster initial load and a smaller initial bundle, because the smaller your bundle size is going to be, the faster it's going to get to your clients, especially in cases with like lower internet speed in like developing countries that don't have 5G, and fast devices. So, the people who are running international e-commerce sites, for example, probably care about that quite a bit. So I think that's the difference there, and what the purpose is around server-side rendering. But we're also seeing kind of a push towards this kind of hybrid approach universally, I guess. That's why a lot of meta frameworks have popped up, and that's why server-side rendering has just become more of a thing amongst all of the front-end frameworks. I've heard of people talking about how this pendulum has started to like swing back and forth, where like it used to be where we were doing all server rendered apps, and like you look at like the Ruby on Rails experience and stuff, that was the thing like 10 years ago. And then we were starting to inject these like JavaScript frameworks, like, excuse me, Knockout was an early one that was like a precursor to AngularJS. That was kind of injecting all of this kind of reactivity into people's applications. And then we started moving the other way with like AngularJS and the early React and Backbone and all of those early frameworks. And now we're kind of swinging back where everything was client rendered with all of those frameworks. And now we're coming back to this kind of server focus.